All right. Welcome everybody to the tourism meeting, February 22nd, 2023. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of the January 23rd meeting. Ms. Runyon, Mr. Diamond, everybody else, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We're going to open the floor to the public first. Put your hand down. Go ahead, Gina.
Back at the end of in December, when there was changes in the Warren County tourism staff, Mr. Merlino, Chairman Merlino had asked us at the CVB to take over some bus tour promotion. So we jumped on top of that, and what you have in front of you are the results of what we've done so far. I did leave one right at your spot there. So we had the old databases from 2018 through 2020 that were distributed by the group tour promoter. We cleaned up that database. We had a bunch of bounce backs because we needed to send something out to see. So many changes happened with COVID from 2020 to today. So we were able to clean up that database. And then from there, we did send a staff person to the American Bus Association Marketplace, which was February 4th through the 7th in Detroit. So we joined the association because we need access to their online database to really compare what we have on our, from old contacts that were given to us. We joined forces with locally well, first of all, we attended the marketplace. There was a statewide breakfast. There was a dine around. We worked with our local partners, the Lake George Steamboat Company, the Queensbury Hotel, the Wild Center, and then the Adirondack Coast, which is Plattsburgh. On just basically, we were all attending. We had to see who else was going. To know who had what appointments, who were we seeing. We got the materials from the Warren County Tourism Department of what has been used in the past. So everybody used the same materials while we're at the trade show. So if you're an attraction like the Lake George Steamboat Company, you have certain appointments. If you're a hotel, you have certain appointments. And if you're the overall destination, you have your appointments. So we're able to see who we had overlap with and then who had new appointments. So then we were all there at that trade show. And then we had a post-con of what worked well, what didn't, what are people asking for, who's coming back to the area. Sharon Reynolds, she mentioned at the Lake George Dinner Theater. That was a big topic of conversation. Did that dinner theater come back? Because bus tour companies were used to coming for their matinee shows. They'll bring somebody up. They'll do other things in the market, like the Steamboat Company. They'll try to coincide and do other things while they're here. Some stay overnight, some do not. We did see a resurgence of interest back. Some bus tour companies went out of business. Some were bought, merged. So we did learn a lot from that. We know that we still need to update materials. We have gotten all the files from the Warren County Tourism Department, and we're looking at what really works. It's a beautiful piece that was here. It was heavy if you've got to take 50 to 100 packets of those, to a trade show. And some tour operators, they don't want to take home a bunch of material. So we're looking at what we'll do, but we'll work with the tourism department on that. We'll need to update our websites. We have some things that are outdated in terms of itineraries, listings. We've had some people that have changed their mantra in terms of our local providers, our local folks. Our next steps are the updates as noted on your sheet here. We have also talked to a lead generation company because we're not going to be able to touch all 400 of them, but we want to remarket to them. And we still need to really learn if they're still viable. We have one company that said, you know what, we're only focusing on the West Coast. So we know that, we don't need them in our database, but we need to know that they're there and that, if they change their mantra, but right now we can make them inactive. We'll begin our e-news monthly database to that market and talk about what they need are itineraries and things that are group friendly. We need to update our database to know who has bus tour parking, who has certain amenities for that group tour market, which we don't know. We don't have all of that together yet. We will survey our destination partners for those group tour amenities and then evaluate some advertising opportunities. So that's what we've done to date. We've worked in tandem with Peter and Paul, our favorite apostles, and to get all the right data and to know what's been done in the past, so we know how to use that knowledge to move forward on that. But just to give you a quick update on that. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Gina. Very good report, and I'm glad we are teaming up with you. Whatever they can help you with downstairs for information, Peter will be gladly give it to you. And it'll be a good, you have more of a staff than we have to take care of it. So,
Well, we're in the group market.
yeah,
So
so I'm glad that's working out because it was falling on the wayside by over the COVID for us. So, Pete,
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to verify what she's saying. It's a perfect time to actually transition it with things being so unraveled from COVID. It kind of was like starting from square one. So putting them on task was actually fantastic. They've worked out really well. I've worked with their department to provide them whatever they need, and that'll continue to happen as we move forward. And I got to get you. I want to see if we can get you the emails in our database. I just thought of that while you're speaking. So we'll continue to work with that relationship, and it's been great.
okay, and there's no new business. The only thing I apologize, we have new members. Ms. Frazier is on our board now. Mr. Diamond's on our board, and Ms. Runyon, you were on last year. So I just want to thank you for joining our team and get to see what we really do and how we perform. So I appreciate all your help. Peter, just want to just a quick update on.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I was able to put something together. So what I'm bringing here is just the start of a decision-making process, right? So what I'm going to ask is we're either going to continue things the way they are, or we're going to try and go down a new path relative to the Warren County website. So currently, the tourism department, through the procurement process, goes out to bid for a website. I have a handout if you would like it. Every 4 years, just 1 year, then 3 years of contract renewals. And it's a good process. It's been pretty good to us. But what we're finding in the website world is that it's not a really good idea to rebuild your site every 5th year. You're building it from scratch. That's a waste of resources. Any longer term initiatives can't be built out because you're worried about the transition in between the contracts. So what we're looking to talk about is changing a platform to a sole source provider, to an industry leader, and pretty much someone capable of doing this website type stuff as a CMS content management system as a service, and change the website procurement process from competitive bid to sole source provider. Again, some of the benefits that we would be looking at is consistency. Locking into a long-term relationship ensures that the website isn't being needlessly rebuilt every 4 years. And one of the biggest issues is that we're switching essentially tool sets. So if you're comfortable doing something one way, every 4 years, there's a potential for a new platform to come in, and that almost creates more problems because you're so ingrained in how to do it one way that you have to unlearn those habits and learn new ones. And that back and forth causes us loss in efficiency, knowledge, know-how, data, and feature. Growth and refocusing. I found over the last 2 contracts that the cycle creates this very similar, we build it, we run it, we rebid it process. And we're kind of locked into that scope and nothing greater. What I like to do is, if we can facilitate this, we build it, we run it, and then we start discussing how we build it out even more. Longer term initiatives. We've talked in the past about the capabilities of booking direct, having our website actually facilitate booking engines. And I think we're at a point now where this is really reasonable to talk about because a lot of hotels and Airbnb or B&Bs have their own backend software that manages their own inventory that can export to our site, and we tie it in. So they have some stuff on their end that we could utilize on our end and build a bigger and more robust website. Predictive cost structure. Right now, we bid out the site and we pick the lowest capable bid. And then every 4 or 5 years, that bid process happens again. And as our scope increases, the budget for that increases. But we never know until we bid it out. With this process, the thought is that we build it once. The initial build fee has been utilized and won't happen again. And now there's a subscription fee to run and maintain the site. Any new features that we want to add or capabilities that we want to add are simply scoped out and quoted and we bring it to the board and say, hey, if we want to do a booking engine, it'll cost X amount now for the build and X amount each year at this capacity to run it. If we find that the booking direct doesn't work, we can simply terminate that module and remove that from our subscription fee and use those funds for another module. Maybe it's VR, SEO, something like that. But the flexibility is there, and you don't want to build a booking engine out right now and have it be rebuilt every 4 or 5 years. That's just would be an immense amount of work for little gain. Because by the time it's built, by the time we tie in all the back-end APIs, it would be too much for too little of a reward time. And one of the most important things is to keep what we paid for. The contracts that we've had have done wonderful work for us, but just the nature of the beast is that they build out these wonderful programs, and then that's kind of all of their code and all of their work. And it doesn't necessarily transfer to the new organization because they bid it on a different platform. So for example, in the past, we use a Drupal platform, and it's just a certain tool set, content management system that all of our stuff was built out on. And the new bid, we switched over to a WordPress process, which again, it's apples and oranges. They're similar. They accomplish the same tasks, but we lose a lot of data in the migration. We lose a lot of capabilities in the migration. We lose a lot of features in the migration. And so we essentially have to pay for everything that we built once all over again. And the timing on this is pretty relevant because we do have a current contract will last another 2 years if we so choose to use that. But we will be going through the build out phase again. And so anything that we want to talk about now as far as future long-term web investments is almost a futile conversation because it needs to be tabled until we would get a new contract built and up and running. So this would allow us to start talking about long-term initiatives and implementing them more immediately as opposed to waiting for contract cycles. Below in this handout, this is a sample quote just to explain the process of how this sole source subscription should work. You have an initial build out, which you would have whether you did this or not in a new site, and that's about $40,000. And then you have a subscription annual licensing fee to run that. And in that includes your hosting fees, things like that. Year 2, you do not have that $40,000 build out. You just have the subscription. And in year 3, the subscription 4 or 5. The only incurring of new costs would be if we decide to build out the site to have more features. So perhaps a booking direct, we had that looked at. That's a $4,000 build, a one-time build, and then a $9,000 reoccurring subscription cost. If we find that more hotels and B&Bs want to use that service, that subscription cost would just expand to meet capacity. So they would just add a higher tier of capabilities, and that's a good thing. That it's more people are participating. That says that it's a good project to have, and you adjust your budget accordingly. So that's how the new process would work. And at the end of the 5th year, there's no rebid. We don't scrap everything we have. We continue it and continue to build it out more with more features. The current cost structure is there's a contract awarded up to $82,000. So the first year, that's always all expended on the build and getting it up and running, hosting, all that stuff. And then second year, we try to utilize that to build out some features and bug fix. And then the third year, we're in a little bit of a trepidation area where you don't want to build anything long-term because it's going to get unraveled the following year. And then the 4th year, we use some of that budget to dual host. We host our old website while it migrates to the new company. We've been very fortunate that our companies have played nice together. The vendors have transitioned the data to the new company, and there's no ill will. But there certainly is a gray area where their contract ended, and they might not want to provide all of their work free of charge. So this would alleviate a lot of issues. Certainly, there's probably ramifications that I'm not considering, but all in all, this looks like it could be a great long-term solution and growth for our department. So again, I'm not asking for anything. It's for your consideration, and if you'd like, perhaps next time I think the process would be is I would bring an official sole source letter, which I have, and a quote of the scope and services, and then we can discuss numbers, if that's interesting.
Peter, that's a great idea, and I think you should move forward, but it's up to the committee. Ms. Ron, you agree with that? And then, I'm sorry, right now, we're short some people, so, we can maybe do it again next month in the next meeting when you have more
Sure.
to tell us.
So I've done the behind the scenes vetting. I've already got the sole source letter. I've worked with purchasing to just make sure that this can all happen reasonably. And we're on track to meet all the requirements of all of that. Again, this is an industry website building company. They've done this for multiple municipalities, so they're well versed in the sole source procurement and all that stuff. So right now we're sitting pretty good. I'll get the quote and I'll bring it in front of you guys.
The one that you're talking about.
Correct.
And
Yes.
how long do you have left on your contract now?
So it runs until June
June 30th.
30th. And then we'd have to renew it. So the time frame looks like this. There would be a point in time where we would carry two contracts. One for the sites to currently run, our current site, because it's going to run past June 30th. And then this site would potentially be built during that time frame. And then once this site's launched and up and running, we would terminate the old contract and switch over. So there would be a period of time where we pay.
This year, though, you're talking.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
Yearly, it's $80,000 per year. So for the 4 years. So this actually saves you money.
It does save money. Yeah.
Peter, when you get a chance, get what administrator, go over all this with him, so he gets up to scope on it.
Okay.
And, I think that we agreed as a board to move forward with it, but we don't need a resolution right now.
Okay. Absolutely.
Anything else, Peter?
That's it.
Paul, you got a few things here? He's all right? No comments or anything? All right. I invited Jackie up today, HR, Fiorella, from HR. We've been going over the applications. The deadline ended about a week ago, I think, or maybe a little less. And I think, what'd you say? You had about 5, which you're recommending to the board. But yeah, well, I wasn't going to really, just to get them out to the board, but we'll go. So is that what you want to do? Okay, it's your recommendation.
Well, I don't know. If you're just going to pass out,
I wasn't gonna pass out any.
not going to pass out.
No, just talk about them.
If we're going to talk about them, we should go to executive.
Okay. All right, so we'll hold off on that. We have no referrals. A privilege to the floor. Anybody have any comments or anything? No, okay. So we'll need a motion to adjourn into executive session. You want to give the speech on what has to be said for executive session?
The motion has to indicate that you're going into executive session for the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
All right, everybody got that? I need a motion for that. Mr. Diamond, Mr. Runyon, Miss Runyon. All in favor?
Aye.
We're in executive.